What's going on, guys? This is Vince with VShred.com, and pretty much every guy out there wants muscular arms, and typically this just means that they want big biceps. So today I'm going to tell you about the best bicep exercises that I do to build a part of my bicep that many people have trouble building, which is your bicep peaks.
I'ma keep on going up till the lights go down.
Okay, so like I said, today we're gonna go over some exercises that are good for building your bicep peaks. But one thing to keep in mind is that at the end of the day, genetics will almost always play a role in the shape of your muscles. And this is especially true for bicep peaks. But the truth is, your body type can also determine where you grow muscle the easiest and also where you store fat first. And that's why it's important for you to train and eat based on your body type. And if you want help with figuring out the best route for your goals, you can take my free body type quiz at the link in the description below. Okay, so like I was saying, the bad news is that your genetics will no doubt play a role in your ability to get big bicep peaks. And this is because of your muscle bellies, which are genetic. Some biceps are longer and some are shorter. I personally have slightly shorter biceps, but basically a shorter muscle belly just means that the tendon that attaches the bicep to the forearm starts earlier. And if it's longer, it starts later. So if you have a shorter bicep muscle belly, you're most likely gonna have a much easier time developing that prominent peak. But having longer muscle bellies in your bicep isn't all that bad, because while you may have a less pronounced peak, your arms will typically appear fuller overall compared to someone with shorter muscle bellies. For example, I have this like inch or two gap between my bicep and my elbow, and not all people have that. But nonetheless, if peaks are your goals, then you can still grow them significantly as long as you understand bicep anatomy and train them properly. So the biceps are called that because there are two heads. So you have the short head, which is located on the inside, and the long head, which is located on the outside. And to build peaks, we want to put focus on the long head of the bicep. And one thing that's important to note is that the long head crosses over the shoulder joint and the short head doesn't. So performing movements where your upper arm is actually behind your body will give the long head a better stretch and range of motion and more activation. All right, so jumping into the workout portion, the first exercise that we're gonna be doing to target that outer head and build those bigger peaks are incline bench dumbbell curls. And so you're gonna need a bench, and you're gonna set it at about a 45-degree angle. You don't want it up too straight, and you also don't want it back too far to where you're kind of laying down. But the whole point here is so that your arms, when they fall back, they are behind your shoulder and behind your hips. That's gonna be the most important thing here, and keeping them back there. Also, when you're picking your weights, you're gonna wanna go a little lighter than you normally go. If you do regular curls with 30-35s, then maybe try some 20-25 pound dumbbells here, just because you're not gonna be able to create any kind of momentum or cheat this up at all. And you're also putting your arms in a much more difficult position to actually curl the weight up. So leaning back, like I said, elbows are hanging straight down. They are behind your shoulders and your hips, and you're really gonna focus on keeping them there the entire time. And so from here, you're just going to try to keep your elbow in that same spot and curl that weight up. And so like I said before, the reason that's beneficial is because your long head actually crosses over the shoulder joint. And so you're putting it into a more stretched position at the bottom, whereas your short head doesn't. So it's not going to be as stretched. So you're gonna get more activation from that outer head of your bicep. And so you're going down. And then one thing that I always like to do when I'm doing pretty much any bicep curl really, is I don't rest at the bottom. There's a lot of people out there who they're doing curls, curl it up, they go down to the bottom and they kind of relax and they lose that tension. I try to keep that tension the whole time. So I try to keep a nice little flex at the bottom, curl it up. You want to get it to where you're getting that peak contraction. Hold that. You can maybe squeeze for a second if you're going a little lighter. If not, go right back down. Control it on the way down. Keep that tension at the bottom. Curl back up, right back down. So you want to keep tension throughout the entire curl. Really focus on keeping your elbow in that same spot. You're not curling up and going like that. That's the big no-no. Curl it up, target that outer head. And then you can do that for 3 to 4 sets, depending on your weight. I typically aim for higher rep ranges with biceps just because they are a smaller muscle group, and therefore I like to fatigue them and go to failure with higher rep, so hypertrophy type training. So 3 to 4 sets of 12 to 15 reps, and this is gonna be a great first exercise or exercise just to include in your arms routine. All right, so the second exercise that we're gonna be doing is a close grip barbell curl. And with barbell curls, or really any kind of curls, when you're doing close grip, it's going to put your long head at a more advantageous state. So you can do this with dumbbells, you can do it with a straight bar. I'm gonna be doing it with a easy curl bar with some plates on the side. But just getting your wrists inside of your shoulders is going to help hit that outer head of the bicep. So just breaking down the form really quickly, when you're doing this, the biggest mistake that I see, especially with barbell curls, because with barbell curls comes people loading the weight up and using too much weight, is leave your ego at the door when you're doing this. I don't wanna see anybody going like that and then dropping it. This is what you see at the gym all the time. People using way too much weight. And if you're following some kind of strength programming and you're aiming for 4 to 6 reps, and maybe that last rep or two, or you're doing negatives where you do kind of need to get a little force in there and then drop it down as slow as possible, that's fine. But that's not what we're going for right now. Right now we're going for time under tension. So what you want to do is use a weight that you can control, and you're going to keep your elbows basically right in front of your body. You're not trying to drop them back behind like you do on that last curl that we did. So keep them straight in front of your body. You want to keep your shoulders rolled back, and then from there, you're really going to focus on just curling up, squeezing at the top, not resting like this. That's not what you want to do. You want to squeeze at the top and return back down slowly, keeping those wrists inside of the shoulders, curling up, squeezing back down slowly. So keeping your elbow in that same position the whole time and controlling the weight throughout the entire rep. So same thing here. You're gonna go for 3 to 4 sets, and then depending on what your goals are, if your goal is to actually build like physical, visible muscle, you're aiming for hypertrophy. You're aiming for muscle building rather than strength building. And so you wanna go for that higher rep range. 12 to 15 is usually what I aim for. Good form, maybe a minute and a half rest in between, and just really focusing on keeping those elbows inside, squeezing at the top, returning back down slowly, and getting nice quality reps over just throwing the weight around. And maybe you get 3 to 4 quality reps, but the rest are just you kind of using a little bit of momentum. You don't want to get any of this rocking going. You want to squeeze, control, time under tension. So that's the second exercise. Move on to number 3. All right, so next up, we have a great exercise, but not one that you should be throwing into the beginning of your workouts. This should definitely be used as like a finisher, or something that you're using after you do a set of, let's say, regular curls, and they are partial reps. And so the reason that partial reps are so effective, and I'm not talking about the top half, because there was actually a study that shows that with the bicep curl, the short head is actually more active from when your arm is at a 90-degree angle to the top. But then for the bottom half of the exercise, your long head is actually more active. And so going from here to there is going to help to hit that long head more. So after you're doing a set of bicep curls, you're getting in here, doing some nice curls. After you pretty much reach failure, which is what you should be trying to do with your bicep curls, let's say I'm rocking out a couple of these. I'm just trying to fatigue my arms real quick. This would not be my real form. I'm just trying to tire them out. After I get a bunch of these and I can't really do a full rep anymore, now what I'm going to do is just take these and just go up to there and back down, up to there and back down. And so what you don't want to do here, because even with partial reps, you're still trying to control your tempo. You're not getting here and, like, let's say your arms are completely fatigued, you're not going like this. Because if you're doing this, you're not getting pretty much any arm activation, or nearly as much as you should be. Whereas if you were doing partial reps like that and holding it right there at the top and going back down. And if you want to, you could even do this as a hammer curl. Hammer curls are also a great exercise for hitting the long head. And so squeezing up, holding it right there, or at least controlling it right there, going back down slowly. And again, like I said in the first exercise, you're not going to the bottom and just completely relaxing your arms. You're still keeping tension at the bottom, curling up halfway, 90-degree angle with your arm, lowering it back down and back up to 90 degrees. So that lower half of that exercise is going to hit your long head more, whereas that top half is gonna hit your short head more. And so you're not doing 3 exercises for biceps and one of them is partial reps. You don't wanna do that. You wanna do regular curls, and then once you're fully fatigued, you can burn out that long head more by just doing those partial reps at the end. So after you do a set, maybe aim for 6 to 8, maybe 8 to 10 reps of those partial reps and really pushing it to failure, and then resting for a minute or two and getting into your next set and doing that at the end for probably every set, 3 or 4 sets of whatever bicep curls that you're doing. So that's exercise number 3. Now let's get into number 4. All right, so the last exercise is one that's actually going to target a different part of your arm. Not necessarily a different part of your arm, it's just gonna target a different part of your arm more. And that is the brachialis. The brachialis is the muscle that runs, if you ever see guys with like big forearms and you see like a big upper forearm right here, that's because their brachialis is just big. And a lot of that comes down to genetics, but a lot of it you can train. And if you do get your brachialis to build, or you build your brachialis, you're going to create that appearance of more full arms, and it's also going to help push this bicep up so that you can get a bigger bicep peak. And so one of the best exercises that you can do for your brachialis, and it is still a bicep curl, is just a overhanded bicep curl. So a pronated, which basically means instead of having your hands with your palms facing up, which is how you do pretty much any curl. Maybe you go from neutral to supinated, or you go supinated the whole time, which is great for your biceps. By flipping your hands over and going into a pronated curl, you're going to hit that portion of your arm really well. This might be one that you need to test with your weight a little bit. Some people, if you're new to this and you haven't really done many overhanded curls, you might be a little weaker at it, and that's fine. Just build your strength up over time. Don't think that because you can curl a lot of weight supinated that you should just try to curl a bunch of weight pronated. Work your way up in that weight. But basically, I'm gonna be using an easy curl bar, and this is pretty much what I use for these pronated curls all the time. And unlike the close grip ones, I'm actually going with the outer grip. If you do it with that inner grip, it's gonna put your wrists at a really weird position. I also like the curled bar, not the flat bar, because it's just a natural position for your wrists to be in when you're curling up. But here, you're gonna be following the same methods as pretty much any regular curl, where basically you're just controlling the weight throughout the entire rep. You're keeping your elbows just slightly in front of you. You're not dropping them back as you curl up like you would see maybe with a drag curl, which drag curls are a great exercise. It's just not what we're doing right now. So we're gonna be pushing our elbows forward, curling up, squeezing at the top, going back down, controlling it all the way, keeping tension throughout the entire motion. I'm not resting down at the bottom. I'm keeping tension right there, curling up, squeezing, and back down. And so really focusing on form, controlling the weight, time under tension. And if you look at my forearm, you're gonna see it's being worked right now a lot more than if I were to do this exercise with my hands flipped the other way, because I'm being forced to basically use my forearm muscles a lot more to grip that weight when it's overhanded, rather than the weight just sitting on your hands, and to curl up, smashing that, pushing the bicep up, or pushing the long head up, and creating that more fuller appearance, because that part is pushing the bicep. So great exercise just for the brachialis in general, but also for those of you who are trying to build bigger biceps and bigger bicep peaks, and maybe you haven't really ever included any kind of pronated curls in your bicep routine. If you haven't, I highly recommend it. Pretty much every single bicep workout that I have ever done includes either easy bar, overhanded curls, or sometimes I will get dumbbells and I'll just curl them up like that, or I'll do those curls where you curl up and then lower them back down like that, so that I can do something to hit that part of my arm. So make sure you're including that. But those are the exercises, guys. That's 4 of the best ones for building that bicep peak. Try these out. Let me know if you like it. And again, if you guys are looking for more advice on how to get in shape, if you are trying to build big biceps, training them correctly is going to be important. But what's even more important is fueling your body correctly so that you can actually build muscle. Because when you're at the gym, you're not building muscle, you're breaking down muscle. And it's what you're eating and your recovery after that workout, which is really what decides whether or not you build muscle or you lose muscle. So if you want help with making sure that you're building muscle and a solid eating routine and an overall workout routine and the best methods that are going to work for you to get in shape for your specific goals, like I said, I do have a free body type quiz. You can check it out by clicking the link in the description below. It's 5 questions, takes about 20 seconds, and I'll give you 3 free tips for getting in shape depending on what your goals are. So check that out if you want. But other than that, guys, if you like this, make sure you're smashing that thumbs up button below, subscribing to the channel, hitting that little bell so that you get notifications when we post new videos. But other than that, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.